Hey guys, I probably don't need to tell you this, but pickup trucks are getting expensive. According to JD Power, average transaction prices for trucks has climbed by 61% over the last 10 years. And for some context, cars in general have only climbed by about over 30%. So there's no doubt these are now some of the most expensive vehicles on the market, and it's because of models like I have behind me. That's the 2019 GMC Sierra Denali, and that's the 2019 Ram 1500 Limited. Now these are both top of the line fully loaded trucks, and we're going to compare them. We'll crawl through the interiors, see what makes them so nice, we'll take them for a drive, and of course we'll talk about the price, so stay tuned. Everybody, so here we are driving in the Ram 1500, and before we talk about the drive here, the powertrain, anything like that, I want to talk about what is probably the most important factor in this luxury truck comparison, and that is the interior. So you've heard us say it before here on TFL Truck. The interior on this Ram Limited is gorgeous. Ram is doing an amazing job at bringing together these class-leading interiors, which don't just feel like they're luxurious for a truck. These are luxurious in anything. This could be a Mercedes-Benz, and I'd feel like this interior fits in that car. Now, the thing that Ram does that I truly think sets them apart are the details, all the fine little details. For example, if you just look around this air vent, you have three different surfaces. You have this beautiful wood, you have this textured hard plastic, and then underneath the vent, you even get this textured black plastic, and it's all separated by this nice chrome strip. So you know what, all of these different materials come together to give this Ram this beautiful detailed look. Then you get the wood over here on the passenger side. It feels nice to the touch. Even look at the doors. The stitching in the doors is gorgeous. The speaker covers for this 19 speaker Harman Kardon stereo system are also beautiful to look at. So there is no detail in this interior that hasn't been touched. And honestly, I really think it's in those tiny little details where the Ram sets itself apart from the competition. Now, by comparison, the Sierra Denali is pretty nice. I'm okay with the layout. I think the ergonomics are good. The infotainment system in the Sierra is nice. The screen looks good. My biggest gripe with it, and sort of in contrast to the Ram, are the lack of details. The center stack just has that one massive black plastic piece, and everything is just sort of sandwiched into it. It just looks ugly. It doesn't look good when you're driving, especially in the bright sunlight. At night, the Sierra Denali actually looks a little nicer on the inside because it's just all the lights that you see, but in the bright sunlight, that black plastic just looks horrible. And you know what, we've complained about this before. We complained about it on the initial launch. For the top trim of that truck, that is the Denali trim, I don't see it, you know. I think that GMC needs to go back to the drawing board, and they need to take some notes from Ram on all those little details and really step up the materials. And that's the issue there. It's not, like I said, it's not the layout, it's not anything really physically, it's just in the materials. And I actually like the GMC has this long bank of little buttons. I kind of like those little buttons. I like the placement of the four-wheel drive system up to the left of the steering wheel. The truck does a lot of good things in that interior. So yeah, just straight up visually speaking, there's no doubt this Ram blows that GMC out of the water. Let's talk about exterior styling now, and these brands, to my eye, definitely took a different approach to styling their luxury trucks. So here at Ram, it's a much more subdued, understated style, almost less is more, and everything here on the front of the Ram is very horizontal. Here on the GMC, this is the opposite. This is in-your-face, brash styling, and everything here is very vertical. That massive tall grille, you get those vertical headlights. So yes, this is definitely two different philosophies. One is sort of over the top, the GMC, and one is sort of subdued. That would be the Ram. Now, of course, this comes down to personal preference. If you're going to ask me, though, I'm going to take the Ram 1500 because this thing looks like an absolute luxury machine, and I kind of appreciate that less is more understated approach. Now let's compare payload ratings and see what the stickers say. So first of all, GM added this sticker for 2019, and it's really great. It lists the GVWR, gross combined weight rating, axle weight rating, max payload 1,486 pounds, max tongue weight 930, and then the curb weight of the truck. That is really convenient information to have right there on the sticker. And then of course, this one has to be on here by law, and of course it also says 1486. So now let's go see what the Ram can do. The Ram does have this sticker right here. Now this does list the gross axle weight ratings, but that's it. None of that other stuff comes on the Ram. However, let's take a look here at the payload here on our Ram, 1,354 pounds. So the GMC Sierra here, when it's crew cab short bed, compared to this Ram crew cab short bed, can do about 100 pounds more when it comes to payload. So how about technology? Well, the Ram kind of wins in that fight too. First of all, you get this massive 12-inch touchscreen, and probably the best feature of the touchscreen, I think, is the fact that you can customize it so much. First of all, you can have two different cards, so you can have your media on top and a map at the bottom, or your climate controls on top and media on the bottom. That's a nice setup. You can use the entire screen if you want it for just one thing, so you can have, you know, the whole thing on map or the whole thing on media. And then the buttons along the bottom, you know, you have a bank down there of what, 7 buttons, and you can actually switch out what you want. So the fact that the heated steering wheel, for example, is buried in 2 menus, you know, you have to hit a couple buttons to get to it, is kind of annoying. I wish there was a physical button. However, if that's one of your most important features, and it will be for a couple months of the year anyway, you're gonna take that and put it down on your main bar, and then you get in your truck and you can get the heated steering wheel. And then summer comes around and you don't want it anymore, well, you can take it away. So same goes for the screen here in my info cluster. It has 4 corners, which are all customizable. You can change what you want to see in each corner, and this is a gorgeous screen. Not only does it look nice, but it gives you lots of great information. So yeah, in terms of interior technology, this Ram is fully outfitted. And then driving technology as well. So the big one you have to talk about here is the adaptive cruise control. So the 1500 has adaptive cruise, the Sierra just straight up doesn't. And the Sierra almost teases you because it has sensors in it that see where the car in front of you is, because someone locked up in front of you in the Sierra and it thinks you're gonna hit them, it's gonna flash a light at you, it's gonna warn you. So that safety system is in place, but you can't actually use adaptive cruise. It's not in that truck yet. So it's kind of funny, you can see on the screen, you can actually get a little emblem where it shows you there's a car in front of you, it sees the car in front of you, but there's no adaptive cruise. I don't know what GM is waiting for on adaptive cruise and half tons, but it's becoming commonplace, so they better hurry up and introduce it. Now, the system here on the Ram, it works really well. I like how smooth it is. It's not a jerky system at all. And on long road trips, adaptive cruise is awesome to have. The one area of technology where the GMC does have this Ram beat is with the head-up display. Now, not only is it nice to have a head-up display regardless of the vehicle, mainly for your speed. I love having my speed up on the windshield. You don't have to glance down. It always gives you that quick reminder. The one thing I like about the GMCs in particular, it's nice and crisp. It's a nice looking head-up display. And you can also customize what you see, so you can get an off-road screen as well if you want to watch what your angles are doing while you're off-road. Although I'm not sure who really off-roads in their Sierra Denali, but whatever. I want to take a look at the different camera systems here in the truck. So first of all, here in the Ram. So you turn the dial there to reverse, and here's what pops up. The initial view, you get a top-down view and the rear view. Now, the one interesting thing I think is worth mentioning, you get a 12-inch screen here, but with the camera, you still only use half of the screen. So the 12-inch screen doesn't really give you more view than what you're going to get on a smaller screen like we have in the Sierra. So let's count the different angles. So this is 1, then you get 2, which is just rear cross path. 3 is a front camera. 4 is a front combined with the top view. And then 5 is a rear backup camera, but here on 5 you can also hit this plus, and this will zoom in. If you had a hitch ball, it would be right here, so you can see right on your hitch ball. So that is 5 total views, 6 if you want to include that hitch view. And this view here is really more than enough for backing up. I love the top-down view, the rear view, yeah, this is a pretty great setup. It also looks pretty nice. Now let's go look and see what the Sierra has for cameras. All right, now we're here in the Sierra. We'll use the stock here to put it in reverse. And let's take a look. So both trucks start with the same view. You get the top down and then just a rear view. Now here in the Sierra, each one has two choices. So that's a front and a top, and there's the rear. So then we go over here. That's just a rear view, and that's just a front view. Now next, we get that top down just on the bed, which is pretty cool, mostly for hooking up trailers. And then there's top down on your nose, which is convenient for, you know, really tight maneuvering. Now next, you get that cool 3D look from the back, and then that same cool 3D look from the front. Over here you get two shots right down the side of the truck on either side, and then shots of your front wheels. This is really great for, you know, getting really close to a curb, let's say. And then you get the hitch ball shot. So there's the first one, and then does this one zoom? No, this one doesn't have the zoom. But anyways, if the hitch ball was here, it'd be right here. So you're able to put it right behind a trailer. And now, oh look, there's even two more over here. So what do we have here? So this is your proximity sensor, and then this is probably turning on and off those trailering lines, which just aren't on this view. Yeah, see, there's the lines there. I think you're gonna get them here as well. Yeah, so very interesting. You definitely get more camera views. Yeah, see, you can see the lines in this shot just at the back here. They just disappear. But yeah, Sierra, I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different camera views, and some really cool stuff like this 3D truck. So you know what? Both camera systems are good, but overall the Sierra is offering more views around your vehicle. So overall, Sierra's got to take the camera battle. Now an interior comparison wouldn't be complete without a backseat comparison. So I'm going to climb in the back seats and we'll see how they do. But before I climb in, let's just take a look at the backseat amenities. So here in the Ram 1500, you get 2 USB ports, 2 USB-Cs. You also get a proper 3-prong plug right down there in the middle, and heated and ventilated seats, which are pretty cool for the back. Now in terms of folding, you have a 60-40 split here. So you just grab the bottom, this folds up, nice big flat load floor. Here in the 1500, the Ram, they engineered a flat load floor for 2019, so no more of those little weird plastic boards that kind of folded out to make a flat load floor. And then one of the other cool features, look at this in-floor storage down here. That's nice and deep, which is pretty cool, and it's nice and hidden away by the floor mat once you got whatever you need in there. So I appreciate having more storage. The flat floor is pretty great. And now let's see how I fit. Okay, time to climb in. Oh boy, there is just tons of space in the backseat of this Ram. Headroom for me is just good. It's about a hand's thickness. I can get my hand in, but look at this. Like, I can really lean back, which is nice. Now, unlike what I normally do, I look up the numbers first. Here, I'm actually gonna do real world comparison, just see which backseat I like better, and then we'll see what the numbers say. And so far, this Ram is doing a great job. Plus, you have this center console, so the middle of this seat folds down. You get a couple of cup holders here and some extra storage, which is a nice bonus too. Now let's hop in the GMC. So first, let's look at backseat amenities here in the GMC. So you get 1 USB port, 1 USB-C, heated rear seats, and the 12 volt. But one nice thing for the 2019s are just these air vents. Prior to 19, there was no air vents for the rear seat passengers in GM pickups. Now, one of probably the coolest tricks here in the Sierra are these little storage bins built in to the seats. Take a look at that. That's a nice little storage area. There's one on that side too. And then look, totally hidden away. Now in the center, we have a little fold down cup holder, which is nice. And then the bottom of the seat is split 60-40. It folds up, and here in our Sierra model, we have this big storage bin, this plastic storage bin underneath the seat, which can fit quite a bit of stuff. But take note, here in the GM, there is still a little bit of a hump here in the floor. It's gotten smaller and smaller, but unlike the Ram, this is not a totally flat floor. Now let's climb in and see how it feels. Okay, so, wow, a ton of leg room here in this Sierra as well. This might even feel like a little bit more than the Ram. although I didn't set the seats up at the same level. But either way, both of these trucks have way more than enough legroom for a full-size adult to sit back here comfortably. And then headroom, you know what? This GMC has this big cutout back here for headroom, so I actually have way more headroom here. And the Ram has the panoramic sunroof, which this truck doesn't have, but you do get more headroom in the back. Now, overall, this is a really tough call. Honestly, these back seats are pretty much comparable, but I guess I gotta go with the Ram because you're getting heated and cooled seats. You're getting a proper 3-prong plug in the back, and you're getting 2 USBs and 2 USB-Cs. In terms of seat comfort, I don't think there's a clear winner here, but just the overall story for the back seat, the Ram offers more. And just for the record, I also chose the largest back seat, as the Ram 1500 here offers 45.2 inches of rear seat legroom compared to the Sierra, which offers 43.4 inches. So they're pretty close, and anything over 40 is a pretty big number, so they have big spacious back seats, but the Ram is a little bit bigger on paper and it offers more to your backseat passengers. It is true, the interior is beautiful here, but does this Ram have the drive to back it up? Well, first of all, let's bury my foot. The Hemi feels good. It's really smooth, strong power, and you do get a really nice hit of torque down low, nice linear, progressive V8 power. It sounds nice. The 8-speed here, no issues with shifts, no issues knowing where it wants to be. This combination has been in the Ram now for quite a few years, so it certainly is dialed in beautifully. This is a strong powertrain. I don't really have any knocks against it. So I'm about to hit these train tracks right here. Let's see how the suspension feels. Pretty nice, you know what? It was a little bit rough. Once you get into that airbag travel, it does feel like it gets a little bit stiffer. You can definitely feel that. But you know what? The truck stayed nice and straight. I hit those exact railroad tracks a lot, and you can tell if a really stiff truck hits it, you kind of get that back end chatter and the back end steps out on you. But hitting those railroad tracks just dead straight on, this truck stayed nice and planted and flat, and you know, took me straight over. So now we're gonna go jump into GMC. We'll start off by hitting those same railroad tracks so we can really feel the difference in the suspension, and then we'll talk about how that thing drives and of course how much these trucks cost. So stay tuned. And here we are now in the 2019 GMC Sierra, and the first thing I want to do is put my foot into it and see how this powertrain responds. Woohoo! Oh, she jumps! Absolutely jumps when you bury your foot. And you know what? I gotta give credit to this 10-speed automatic. I think it has to shift faster than the Ram. It's probably a minute difference, but when you hit your foot here, the shift that bangs off just feels so crisp and so quick. The Ram is certainly not slow by any means, but it does not respond with quite the speed that the Sierra seems to. And then it gets pretty addictive. You know, I have more power here too, 420 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque. That is compared to the Hemi, which makes 395 horsepower, 410 pound-feet. So the Sierra just makes more power, and the fact that it's sent through a couple more gear ratios helps it to have a lower first gear, and this transmission is just really nicely dialed in. Now here come these same train tracks we hit earlier in the Ram. Oh, okay, interesting. So the truck definitely tracked just as straight. It didn't seem to get out of sorts, which is the sign of nice, smooth suspension. But right at the end, I did have a bit of a harder hit. So you know what? Overall, the Ram's air suspension did seem to absorb those train tracks a little better than here in the Sierra. So in the battle of the powertrains and the drive, I think the Sierra might have a slight edge over that Ram 1500 Limited. And that's one of the criticisms, which I think is totally legitimate for Ram, is that they didn't do a lot with the powertrains on the 2019s. They did add the e-torque system. We don't have the e-torque system on our Ram, but they just added it to the existing engines. And I guess the same argument could be made for GM, but what GM did was its dynamic fuel management system. So adding that, plus adding the 10-speed speed to this 6.2, those are pretty big engineering jumps. So while GM clearly spent a lot of time on its powertrains, Ram seems to have spent a little bit less time on its powertrains, but I mean, Ram poured all of that time and money into the interior, which is probably the more important part of a luxury pickup anyways. Now it's time to look at the business end of these pickups. First of all, you'll notice dual exhaust on both of these trucks. And then just in general, there's a lot more going on in the back of the Sierra than there is the Ram. What do I mean by that? Well, first of all, you get these excellent bumper steps. These have been made bigger for the 2019, and I still think this is the best step solution on the market for pickups. Not to mention, the Sierra also offers you this, the Multi-Pro tailgate. So it's got a 2-button system, sort of a tailgate within a tailgate. You can drop the main gate, and then drop the half gate, and down she goes. Then you just pop this little flap out here, and you got yourself a nice big wide step for climbing into the bed of your Sierra. Over here on the Ram, you have no such step. So first of all, you do get the damp tailgate. Now Ram will sell you an accessory step. It's dealer installed, and it kind of just pops down below the bumper there, but honestly it's not that great of a solution. Now our truck here does have a tonneau cover on it, so let's just flip this forward one. And now I want to show you the tie downs. So here in our Ram, this truck is fit with this slidable rail system, so you'll see you can move those tie downs around. That is a convenient system. Now when it comes to actual fixed point tie downs, you just get that one right there in the back, and then I'll show you on the other side because that bag is in the way. You still just get the one up there in the front. So you only get 4 fixed tie downs here, and you get the rail, and you get a couple of LED bed lights. So what does the GMC offer? Well, GM did a great job with this bed. So first of all, you get great cutouts in the wall. Now you can fit wood into those cutouts, go across your bed, and essentially make it into almost like a 2-level system. Then those little small circles there, those are cutouts for additional tie downs if you want to add them. But the absolute best feature, check these out. 1, 2, 3 tie downs in the back corner. 1, 2, 3 tie downs in the front corner, and same goes for both sides of this bed. And to me, that's a really big deal. It's nice to have so many tie downs in so many different locations. Just makes hauling things more convenient. You also get the LED bed lights here on the Sierra, just like in the Ram. And then one last excellent feature here in the Sierra, you actually get the 3-prong plug. So if you want to run your tools back here, or maybe just plug a TV in and watch the game, something like that, you can do it. Here comes one of the most important breakdowns in this video for these two trucks anyway, the pricing. And I've stopped here on this dead-end road to read them all out to you because I got a lot of numbers here. So the GMC Sierra here in the US starts at $33,500. Now the Denali starts at $54,700. And then if you get a truck like we have it outfitted here with a number of different options like the technology package, this truck as it sits in the United States costs about $66,000. Now, real quick for my Canadians, the starting price in Canada for a Sierra, a little more at $36,200. Starting price for a Canadian Denali, $67,900. And our as-tested Canadian price is just a hair shy of $80,000, $79,885. So how does our Ram stack up? Well, starting price in the US for the Ram, $31,795, a little cheaper than the Sierra. Starting price for the Limited in the US, $53,400, also a little less than the Sierra. And then finally, our as-tested price in the United States for the Ram, $67,445. So the Ram is actually a hair more expensive once you get all those options. And something like the panoramic sunroof in the Ram, that is a $1,400 option alone. So you know what? These trucks are really comparable when it comes to price. So now Ram pricing for all my Canadians. So the Ram in Canada starts at just over $34,000. The Limited starts at $64,500. And then as tested, our Ram Limited sells for a little bit over $77,000. So what that means is that the Denali is more expensive here in Canada as they sit, whereas in US pricing, our Limited is just a hair more expensive. And I'm probably going to chalk that up to the fact that we sell a lot more GMCs here in Canada. Canadian split GMC to Chevrolet is something close to 50-50. So unlike the States, which I think it's like 80-20, something like that. So I can believe that here in Canada, we're charging a little bit more for our GMCs because they're squeezing every single dollar out of this truck possible. But you know what? All of that being said, these trucks, whether fully loaded or at the base, or base Limited versus base Denali, they're always within $2,000 or $3,000 of each other. So the pricing isn't really favoring one truck or the other. Now we have arrived here at the end of our comparison, and this is a tough one to judge. So here in the GMC Sierra, if we're talking straight up powertrain and how these trucks drive, I'm gonna take the Sierra. The 6.2 just has silky smooth power. The suspension and the drive here is just a little softer, a little smoother than what you're gonna find in the Ram, but there's an issue. You probably already know where I'm going, the interior. Honestly, the interior on this truck, the top of the line luxury trim for GM, in my books, it's just not forgivable. If you want to sell a luxury machine, you need a nicer interior, and that's what the folks here at Ram have focused on. So in this battle of the luxury pickups, I have to go with the pickup truck that offers the classiest interior, not just in the segment, but one of the nicest interiors on the market, period. So in this battle, we're going 2019 Ram 1500. So as always, guys, make sure you go below, hit subscribe, leave a comment, let us know which truck you would take, and then come back here to TFL for the latest news, views, and real world reviews. See ya.